this journey. I will answer your questions and help make data science less scary for you, and ensure that we all have fun while learning. So helpful. Amen. All right, let's start. Yeah, so the subject matter of the day, what are we going to be covering? We're looking at introduction to Python, applications of Python, Python environments, Python variables, what are variables, and how do we create a variable? Are there rules for naming the variables, and how do we follow these rules? And we're also looking at string formatting, data types, and structures. So, I mean, let's head to our notebooks already. So, Python was introduced, or was first introduced by this man here. He's a Dutch programmer, and he introduced Python in the late 1980s. So anyway, you see this man, whether in real life or on the internet, just do like this for him. He deserves it. So the name Python is a tribute to the British comedy book called Monty Python. So you can click on this and it will take you to more information about what Monty Python is about. And you can click on this and it will take you to more information, the Wikipedia page for this great man here. So like I said earlier, Python has vast areas of application. You can use it for web development, you can use it for data science analytics, scientific computing, networking, game development, automation, and scripting. A whole lot. Depends on what you want to use Python to do. Python is a very versatile programming language. I also wrote down here that it has a very active and supportive community. So if you have any issues, you find out that when you go online, when you search for whatever problem is, there are quick fixes, or someone else might have had that same issue, and someone else might have provided solutions to it. So just so that whatever issue you encounter, you're not alone, that someone else might have experienced it, or even if you're the first person experiencing it, the community is there to help ensure that whatever problem we face is resolved promptly. So now, in yesterday's class, someone asked, how are we going to run our Python codes? And I said in this class that we're going to explain it. So there are two environments that we can use. We can use Anaconda, or we can use Google Colab. The underlying theme here is that to run our Python codes for data science projects, or whatever data science code we have to use Jupyter notebooks. Yeah. So some people use Jupyter Lab. Jupyter Lab and Jupyter notebooks are similar, just a few interface changes and maybe functionality changes. But primarily, we'll be using the Jupyter notebook. So you can either access Jupyter notebook through Anaconda. Anaconda is an app, the software you can download from the internet, or you can use Google Colab, like I showed you all yesterday. You can use Google Colab instead. So Google Colab is like a web-based version of Jupyter Notebook that enables you to run Python code and everything related to data science. But this is on the cloud, unlike Anaconda where it's on your local device. So yeah, you can actually run your codes on your local system if you do not want to use the cloud, or if you don't have access to internet connection. All right, so I will be showing us an article that was written by Geek4Geeks, on how to install Jupyter Notebooks on Windows. So there are several avenues. So like I mentioned, Anaconda is a software you can download on your system. Just go to the internet, type Anaconda download, and you see the option to download it, whether on your Windows laptop, or maybe if you're using a Mac. So there are installers for different laptop types or OS systems. So the first one here is, let me go back to the article. So how to install notebook on Windows. I will just share this article so that you can go through it. I'll go through the article in a bit so that we can see the processes. But I'm sharing this article so that you can go through it and then pick out the best that you can use to install Jupyter Notebook on your laptop. So my next class, you'll be able to work as I'm working as well in class. So yeah, back to the article. So the first method is to use Anaconda. You would have to download Anaconda into your system. After downloading it, you would install. You find out that there are options like this. Let me go back to my notebook. So when you download the Anaconda software on your laptop, and you open it up, you would find out that you have something like this. Although recently I noticed that the process for installing an Anaconda takes a bit of time because the latest version is the 2024 version. So you find that during the installation process, it can run for hours and it doesn't install. So if that happens to be okay, there is an alternative you can explore. We're going to come to that. But if, however, during your installation process, you get to the very end, congratulations to you. But you find that when you open up the Anaconda app, you will be presented with something like this. So the next thing you will do is to click on install. Please, I hope you cannot see my screen. Just give me a thumbs up so I know that we are following. All right. Good. So you would see here that.
Yes.
All right. Please move to mic again. Thank you. So you would see here that when you open it up, there will be a place to install. Thank you. There will be a place for you to install. That is to install the Jupyter Notebook on your device. So after you do that, the next thing you click on is launch Jupyter Notebook, and then it takes you to the Jupyter interface. So that's how that would work if you install the Anaconda software on your laptop. So if you encounter any issues, let me know in the Discord channel. Then another alternative for you to use is to use PIP. PIP is a form of it means in which you install modules, libraries, and even Jupyter Notebook into your virtual environment, or in this case, you use your Windows PowerShell. So quickly, before we continue, I want to know how many of us has prior knowledge of Python. You could do so by a show of hands. Just click on the raise hand button so I know how many of us have prior knowledge. All right, so far I'm making progress. That's good. Just 4 people anymore. Okay. Is that all? Okay, so we have just 4 people. Wow, that's a lot of work to do. I'm guessing those that are also okay. I'm guessing those giving a thought of also have programming prior Python knowledge. All right, let's continue. You're in the right place. So if you'll be going through this means, you know that the first thing you need to do is why I made this article is because it gives you step by step. So there's no way you can get confused. However, sometimes things happen. So you can always follow it step by step. So for example, I'll be using this step. Now I've already installed Jupyter on my device. So if I want to activate it, if I want to bring it up, I will just go to my Windows shell. I'll just copy this Jupyter Notebook, then go to my systems, Windows PowerShell. I already called it up. One of the recent apps I opened today. So I'll open it up. All right. And then the code I pasted, this is after you've installed, and this is after you've already performed steps 1 and step 2. And now you're ready to actually use your Python, your Jupyter Notebook environment. So you just go to your Windows PowerShell and paste what you copied already. Then click on press enter. And then with time it's going to come up. So what it does is that when it finally comes up, Jupyter Notebook opens up as a tab on your web browser, on your default web browser. So since Firefox is my default web browser, that means the Jupyter Notebook I just tried opening now is going to open up on my default web browser. So when it comes up, I will show it to you guys. So if this method works for you, that is good and fine. The most important thing is that you are able to access. All right, so my Jupyter Notebook is up now. Let's give it a minute to load. All right, let's go back while it comes up. So if that method works for you, then you are good to go. Anytime you want to use Jupyter Notebook, you can always go to your PowerShell, paste the Jupyter Notebook code I just showed you now, and then it comes up. So yeah, this is what the Jupyter Notebook looks like. These are a list of files I have on my local system. So you can create a new module, you can create a new notebook. So this creates a new notebook. Let's click on it. And then it opens a different tab. Right. And this is what a black Jupyter notebook looks like. So anywhere you see something like this, even if they wake you up in your dream, you will be able to identify that this is a Jupyter notebook. It is obviously written in Jupyter, and then this is where you title your notebook. So it is called a notebook because you can combine text. You can also you can combine both text, and you can also combine your code. So the text comes like in the form of markdown, like you have here. Let's open up one of the files. This same file I have on Google. Let me open it up so you all can see it. Then programming basics. All right. So I'm trying to show you guys this same notebook, but on my local system. So this is it. Exactly the same thing. So this is what I meant, that it combines markdown, it combines this part is called the markdown, as you can see from here. And then you allow you to be able to add text. If I double click on it, it brings up this part where I can add text and add links to the pictures I uploaded. Then to run it, just press Shift and Enter, and then it goes down to normal. You can see it's practically the same thing as I have on Google Colab. So then move over to the third one. So the third one is you could also visit the Microsoft Store and then search for Jupyter and launch the Jupyter notebook using the steps here. So the final step or the final method is to use mini conda, which is an order and anaconda alternative. So visit the official website to download and install mini conda, and then follow these processes below to get it installed. So I will be looking out for your questions in case you encounter any issue. So the code is, let me go back to the article. The code is here. So that's for method 2. You're using method 2. Then you know that after you've gone through step 1, step 2, and step 3. Okay, so step 3 is where you copy this code. Just copy it and then you paste it after you've performed step 1 and step 2. So it's a pretty straightforward process. All right, so this is what we can proceed. Just close up these tabs. Good. All right. Now I want to talk about Google Colab like we have here. So if you have, this is for the next class. So if you have a Google account, then you should be able to access the Google Colab interface. And this is what the Google Colab interface looks like. I can introduce us to it yesterday, like just a brief overview. So I noted here that Google Colab is short. Google Colab or Colab for short is a web-based platform that allows anybody at all to write and execute Python code. So if probably your system or your device doesn't have enough GPU, or you don't trust your device to be able to carry Jupyter Notebook or whatever you want to download, as far as it concerns data science, then you know that you can always use Google Colab as an alternative. Yes. All right, so we're moving over to the very first thing on our list, Python variables. So if you're going to learn Python and you're going to work as a data scientist, you would interact, like your life is basically a life made up of variables, a life made up of Python variables. So everywhere you turn, everything you do is made up of variables. You're going to have to create variables. And I'll show you, it's a pretty very straightforward and simple thing. So I'll do a very simple example. How do you remember contact? You know that contact number that's very good. Let me search it out so that I can show you guys what it looks like. Okay. First container, yes. Now, some of us know these checkers containers, some of us know this one, some of us know this, some of us even know this. So you find that probably it contains what it contained was custard. But then after you guys got eating it and you guys are happy with yourselves, you then decided to reuse the custard container as something else. Maybe you decide to put soup inside or to put stew or to even put egg. So if your peg is not lost, like it's catching it all over the place, so you decide to put it into a container which you repurpose. You get so In this case, I will give an example of an ice cream container, like fan ice, for example. Let's assume you bought you bought a fan ice cream, and then after you were done, you now said, okay, well, I don't go through this container away. Like, you know how Nigerians are, we don't go through things away like that. Even if it's carton, you that I can use this carton to do something else. I can use this container to do something else. So after you're done with your fan ice cream, you would not throw the container away, would you? You don't. You don't do it in Nigerian households. So you said, okay, since this container is still good, the hasn't been damaged, nothing can happen to it. Let me use it instead to store my stew. Let me use it instead to store my soup inside this fan ice cream. This fan ice cream container. Then you put it in the fridge. That's what we always expect, right? So now, how does this relate to variables might be asking? So I would say that the same way that these containers are able to store different things. So let me use this cup as an example. Now, this cup is a perfect example of something that can be purposed. So we all know that this cup is called a disposable cup, and we use it to drink water, to take wine, to make toast in official, any informal events. So now, let's assume that we're done drinking with this cup, but we don't just want to trade it away. What are we going to? This cup previously empty, but yeah, we can use it to do something. We can say, just like in the finance ice cream I gave an example, like I said, we can use it to store soup or stew or whatever you want to put inside. Now, for something like this, I can decide to put maybe this wrapper inside. It is containing something. You could also decide to put maybe pegs or maybe your keys, because you don't want every time you come, you just drop it somewhere. So you don't put your keys inside here and then you keep it. Every time you come, you find your keys inside this container. So variables are like containers that are used to store data. So this data that are stored inside the container could be anything. Like I mentioned, I said it could be your keys, it could be your pegs, it could be router, depending on how big or how large enough the variable is or the container is. Okay, so in this instance, let's assume that you're putting pegs inside. So the pegs you are putting are called information. So I want here that you can give a variable a name. So now, instead of calling this a disposable cup, you can say, yeah, I think I will call you peg container. So now you assign it a name. You assign this variable. This variable, like I said, is a container. You assign this variable a name, and the name now is called peg container. I say that a variable can contain any piece of data or can store any piece of data like numbers, text, or even complex things like lists. I'll come back later to what list is later on in the class. So this variable in my hand, which is a container, is able to store information, which could be text, which in this case can be, this variable can store numbers or text or even more complex things. So I want to say that a variable is simply a way to label and hold something so that you can refer to it later. Not exactly like we are to keys. You don't want to just toss your keys anyhow. You don't want to toss your pegs anyhow. So you put it in here and then you keep it. And then you see the regular this peg container. You know that every time you come back, you can always refer to this container later on to retrieve your keys or your pegs. I do hope that following. Sorry. Am I still echoing?
Hello, Anna. Hello. Hello, Anna.
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so please, I noticed that some of your students are not muted. So can you mute everybody? Mute all, please. Okay. Minus me. Okay, I think the person's okay, 2, you are echoing.
Okay, I'm not sure I can actually tackle that right now because that was a bit of an issue yesterday with the headset, so I have to switch to this earpiece today.
Where you are staying, you're in the office, right?
Yeah, I am.
Please, can you try? Please shut down your close your camera and try and open the door. Please just say me. It's just for you to have a fantastic learning experience. And so when you listen to the live class, you wouldn't have that echo reflection. So let's just work on it. And are you back? Please just give us 2 minutes. Okay. Anna,
is it better now?
it's better.
Okay. Wait. So we are back to where we stopped. Just me going to share my screen. Right. Yeah, so can we all see my screen? Just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Right. Yeah, so back to where I was. So I was talking about variables. And so I noted here that some key things to remember is that a variable can hold different data types. It can hold numbers, it can hold text, it can hold it can also hold booleans, whether true or false. Booleans are true or false. And I also said that just the same way as you can change what is inside a variable, like I said, this container, you can say that, okay, I don't want it to hold pegs anymore. I want it to hold my car keys. I just go to buy car. you want it to hold your car keys or your house keys or maybe whatever keys you have in the house. Someone raising their hands. Okay. You want to hold keys instead. So you can always change what is inside the container. And just even if it's your ice cream container, you can set to read this to and put soup instead. So, and I also noted that variables are there so that it can make your code easier to understand and easier to read. You get so now let's move on to the part where we learn how to create variables. We're talking about variables and containers. Okay, how do we create a variable? It's very simple. The first step is you have to choose a name. So now you know that okay, you want your container, which is the variable, to contain your text. So now you have to assign the name that okay, this container, I'm going to name it text container. Now you're giving it a name. So that's the first step. So the first step to creating a variable is you giving it a name. So let's say, for example, here we want to assign your age to a variable. You want to assign your age to a container. So the container, the name of the container here now is age, and you just simply say age equal to the number, which is 25. If you also want to store maybe your name, you say name equal to Hannah, name equal to Leslie, name equal to Moses. It's a very simple process. And so for those of us who are not quite conversant with Python as a programming language, you would see that I used this hat sign here. So hat is simply to denote that okay, this line is a comment, which means that Python don't run this particular lines of code because they are not part of what you are supposed to actually review as a code. They are just comments to help us understand, okay, this is what you are doing at this particular point in time. You get so I must have to emphasize that as a data scientist, it's important that you actually add comments to your code from time to time because it helps anyone going through your code to understand that okay, this is what's actually happening at this point in time. So now that okay, we've stored age, we stored the number 25 into the age variable or container, and then we can just click on this run icon here, or just do shift and enter, and then it's going to run and give you this check score here, which tells you that the code is good. Now moving on. Now let's talk about rules because someone said something about how in a society where there are no rules, everybody does whatever they want to do, and confusion sets in. So now we have to define, or there are set conventions that we have to follow because one of the things that helps make data science easier for you, easier in a way that you can read another person's code is because there are conventions, there are rules and regulations that on how to go about things in the data science world. So the very first thing is that if you want to name your container or your variable, you have to start with a letter, or you can start with underscore. you do not start with a number. This I want us to drop this into our heads. You do not start the name of your container with 7 dash peg container. You don't do that. You can say something like peg underscore container, or you can say underscore peg container. But there is no opportunity for you to start your variable name with anything other than a letter or an underscore. Those are the only 2 things you can start your variable name with. So please let us remember that. And here I give a brief example, as you can see here. So it is wrong for you to start your variable name with a number or with any other sign you choose. Then the next rule is that you can only use letters, numbers, and underscores. So there is no room for using anything like spaces, no use for using anything like underscore, exclamation mark, hash, or the @ symbol. So it's not like Facebook usernames where you have at babygirl.com or at finegirl.com or at hotchick.com. No, this is data science. Let us stick to data science. Leave Facebook for Facebook, please. So we found that here, just like the example that gives 6, peg, and container are 2 different words. And you're wondering, if I bring them together, it will not really make sense to the eye. So it's fine, you understand. So instead of putting a space between the peg and the container, you have to add an underscore between the peg and the container, as you can see here. So instead of adding for this to announce, because there are 2 different words, I have to add an underscore between total and amount so that it makes it readable to the human eyes. And then I'll take an example here: student underscore name underscore 2. It's better to do this than for you to. If you should use any of this in your code, let me highlight it for us. If you should use any of this in your code, just get ready because it's going to show an error for you, a name error. All right. Then I also said avoid Python keywords such as for, if, and else. What are Python keywords, you might ask? So Python keywords are words that Python says, see, this particular word, leave them for me. And that's what it simply means. It tries to say that, you see this one, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. That's the way it's trying to tell you. That's on the lighter notes. But words like for, words like print, you are not allowed to use those words as variable words because they have a specific function that they've been assigned to perform in Python. So if you are saying print equals to 25, it could try and tell you that print is a keyword, even though it doesn't state it exactly. You would, as I'm telling you now, be aware that print is a keyword in Python. So when Python goes through the line of code and then sees print, like this print is supposed to be used in a different way, but it's being used as a variable. It was an error. Yeah, so we are not allowed to touch any of Python's keywords. And I know right now you'll be like, okay, so what are all the Python keywords? It's very simple. Go online and search Python keywords and everything will come up. So that's simple. Just a simple Google search and you're good. Then the next one I mentioned is that Python is case sensitive, which means that name in small letters and name with capital letter N-A-M-E. They are 2 different things. A very vivid example is this. Let me run this code again so that we can see it. Now, it really made an error because I assigned name in small letters to Derek, and then when I wanted to print, I was like, I don't want to change. I don't want to use the same small letters. And then when I used capital letter N-A-M-E. Now, when Python was going through the code, I was like, you've not defined this rule, so why are you asking me to print it out? Yeah, so what if you progress through this course, think about Python like a human being. Python has conscience. You know that doesn't have conscience, but I look at assuming it has conscience. So I'm telling you, okay, in the line, you said that is equals to this. So when I'm telling you to print out this thing, are you okay? You get so this error tells you that okay, this is actually not defined. So you have to now go back and then change it and say, okay, I just print me instead and then run your code. And you see, I've created a variable for you, and everybody's fine and okay. You get so we move on. So the 5th rule. Sorry, Moses, we'll take questions later on. Just note down your questions so that we can move on. We have to go cover today. So in that the next rule is that variable names have to be descriptive. Please, if you are naming a variable, make it something that you can easily understand. Don't just use any name, something that you can understand and remember. Yeah, so like the example I gave in pair container, everybody in your house, if you have 10 people living in your house, now this will label the first pair container. No, so I know that some people don't make sense, and some people would obviously want to just show themselves. Some people like to stick out a sugar and put inside this container and say, we not label it now. You get, but when you label it as pair container, now you have a name that is descriptive enough and easy for everybody to understand. So you know that okay, this is a pair container, it's supposed to be used for eggs and eggs only. Not sugar, not tomato paste, not water, nothing else but PEG container. Do we understand that? Right. So I give an example here where I said student's age equals to 18. And then the next example, I just wrote S_A. Now tell me if you should come back after maybe 2 years to look at your code again. Do you think you would easily remember what S_A actually means? You get, so that is why it's important that you use variables that are very descriptive, clear, and easy for you to understand and remember. Please always bear that in mind. So next, we'll be looking at the variable data types. Also, the next node we'll be looking at after this one also buttresses on what variable data types are. So for this note, we will just look at it briefly so that we can move over to the next note. So now I'm still using this container again. Remember that our variables are containers, right? And I see that they can contain different kind of data, different kind of data types. Data types can be numbers, can be strings, it can be booleans, it can be keys, it can be sugar, it can be water, whatever you tell the container to carry, it is going to carry. So the first thing I mentioned here is that variables can be used to store different data types. So the first one is number. So we can use it to store integers like whole numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 55, 1,000, 7. You can also use it to store decimals like 7.5, 2.5, 3.99, whatever you use. And then you assign it to a variable name, obviously. I also noted here that you could also use, you could also store sentences, or you could store strings. So in Python we call text strings. So we have numbers, we call them numbers. Then for letters or in block of letters, we call them strings. You get, so each of these letters is a character. Together they make a string. So I noted that in Python we have to use single quotation marks or double quotation marks. Please remember this, because if you don't, it's going to throw an error. So if you want to define a string in Python, you have to use double quotation marks. Remember my hand, I'm doing like this. You know how to emphasize and I just do like this, just to be ironic or to be sarcastic, people like this. So you have to use double quotation marks or single quotation marks. It's very important for you to remember. Now look at this example I gave. So I just said, okay, my favorite flavor of ice cream is vanilla. And then I just wrote and then just clicked enter. And then it told me vanilla is not defined. So this is the kind of error you get when you do not enclose this string with quotation marks. Either of the type of quotation marks I mentioned. So now going down, you see that okay, I now realize that okay, I made a mistake too, and then I corrected myself and then ran this code again. And they're good. So the third data type, the first one I mentioned was numbers, the second one was text, which is strings, which we call strings in Python. The third one is what we call boolean. So boolean is simply true or false. When they tell you, are you a girl or a boy? Sorry, are you a girl? You can either say yes or no, that is true or false. So it's the same thing for Python. So for Python, we call those kind of data booleans. So a boolean is either true or false. It cannot be anything else. It cannot be in the middle. Then when they ask for people questions, they tell you, I'm just in the middle. I'm just in the neutral ground. Don't want to be false, don't want to be true. You get, so in Python, you have to either give false or yes, which is true or false. Then moving on, we're going to talk about reusing variables, changing what is inside the container. I think that this container is here because I'm able to use it very well. So now you said, okay, I don't want it to contain PEG anymore. I want to use it to drink water. You have to obviously wash it. You want to use it to drink water. So now you're changing what's inside the container from PEGs water instead. And like the ice cream container example like this, you can now change it from putting soup inside. After you wash it, you can now put soup inside, right? So now it's very similar here. So the example here we have is, now the first thing we initially define quantity of products, for example, equal to 5. And then we do realize, maybe I should assign quantity to be equal to 10 instead. Okay, so now I'm simply doing this here. I'm simply doing this in this field. Now you're changing what is inside the container. You're changing what is inside the variable. So when you come to this last part and then you click on print quantity, it returns the variable 10 to you. Let me run print. So let me comment this part out. So let me comment this, I commented this part and then let me run the code. Now we can say our quantity is 5 and we're okay. But we said instead of change it and then we run the code again. Now it has returned 10. So what happened between here and here is that we basically changed what was inside our container. And Python now said, okay, since you changed it, the answer returning is 10. So that is basically what the container does, basically what a variable does for us. So now let's move on to the benefits. Why do we actually need to use variables now? The first one is to store data. Remember, it's a container. So it stores our data for us when we are trying to run our Python code. And there's an example we'll be looking at down below. But let me just quickly run through this so that we can have a basic understanding of the benefit, and then we'll see its use down below. So we can use it to store data, to help make our code clearer, and to also change data easily. Yeah. So instead of a case where you have to, let's say for example, you want to do 5 or the score, let's say math score equal to 5, and then English score equal to 10. So now you don't want to do English score times math score. What is the answer? Maybe that's 10 times 5 is 50. Sorry, please kindly mute your mic. Thank you. There's extra question, but for now, let's just follow through. Just note down your questions so that you don't forget, and I'll be able to address them later on in the class. All right, so you know that it will become easier for you to change the values or the data contained inside your container later on. So let me just move on to the example so that we can easily understand. So, this ice cream really looks yummy. So let's imagine that you have an ice cream shop, and then you want to calculate the total cost of a few items that the customer buys. Now, this is what your ice cream looks like, and that's what you patronize your results. Now, in this first code block, we have different variable names, different containers. Remember, these are different variables that represent different containers. So it contains the price of vanilla ice cream, which is 2.5 naira, $2.5. And then this is the price of chocolate ice cream, which is $3. And then the price of the cone itself, this cone that is really like looking yummy, about $0.75. Now we've created our containers, our variables, and unit prices. Now we also create another set of variables, which is okay, the number of vanilla that was purchased is equal to 2, the number of chocolate ice cream that was purchased is equal to 1, and the number of cones that was purchased is equal to 3. Now we have our variables stored, we have our container set up and assigned to different data or different information. So we created our variables to store, we've been able to create our variables to store each item the customer buys. Now, we want to calculate total cost. Now, what do we do? Our cost, which is another variable that we've created now, will now be equal to the price of vanilla. Now, remember the example I was giving yesterday when I said you go to the supermarket and you go to buy an ice cream cornflakes and you buy 5 packs, and each pack costs 500 naira. So 500 naira times 5, that is 2,500 naira, right? So it's the same logic that applies here. So we have the price of vanilla ice cream, and then how many vanilla ice cream was ordered? 2, right? So it will now be price of vanilla ice cream times number of vanilla. That's what we have here. Have you seen it? Let me highlight part of the code. So this is what we have here. Price of vanilla ice cream times number of vanilla. So you move on to the next one, chocolate ice cream. So it costs this amount, it was purchased, the customer ordered just one chocolate ice cream. So we have the chocolate ice cream price times number of chocolates and ice cream was actually purchased. This is what we have here in the next one. And then for the last part, the price of the cone times number of cones that was actually purchased. Now also we have in this other segment. So when you do all of that, and remember that there is a plus sign between each of these multiplications being conducted. So typing will do the whole background work for you. So you don't have to try to use calculator. If that's the Python, just sit back, sit pretty, sit handsome and relax and watch Python do the magic. So now let me go back to run this code again so that we can have, okay, this is good. This is good. So you know that if you have any errors, we have obviously highlighted it to us, and now we can actually run this. So if you see that the total cost for our ice cream is $10.25. That is variables working for you. So now I said, I was also saying, remember when I mentioned something about how you can easily change the variables. So now, if you have a case whereby you use numbers, so you do not bother to create all of these containers initially. I just want to say, okay, I don't want to stress myself. I'm just using numbers. You're going to stress yourself later because now, if the price of vanilla ice cream to change, let me go back and change. Let's say the economy is now hard. Let's say, let me take it to $10. No customers are going to complain, but you take it to $10, and then you run this code again. And then you come here, and then you run this. Now, you see our price has changed. None of that 10.25 is now 25.25. And if you hadn't used this variable, you would know that you now have to come out every time that the vanilla ice cream appears and then start changing it one by one. And that is obviously not time effective. So creating variables is helpful so that you don't have to do all of this work manually. And it might not look like a big deal now, but when you start dealing with a large number of polygons to work with, you know that you actually have to create variables. So let's bear that in our mind. So I noted here that, did you notice that I used the total positives as part of the print statement? Because initially, we just, let me scroll back with it so that you can see. So initially, we just use print quantity. And then just return only the number itself, no text, no explanation, nothing, just gave us a number like that. It's not fair now. But we can actually do something about it to change our situation. So when you come down here, you see different formatting. So I call this, we call it print formatting, how you can format your final output so that it's explainable or it is returned in a way that anybody that looks at it can understand what you're trying to say. So in the first one, I say, okay, so there are 4 methods. You can use string concatenation, you can use the percentage operator, you can use the dot format method, you can also use F strings. So these are methods that you can explore. So for the very first one, this is string concatenation. Remember what I said about strings? They are in places, double quotes or single quotes, right? So now we have a variable called dish, we have a variable called location, and now you want to say for the wedding we will serve delicious jollof rice. Now the best way to do that now is to come to this print statement and then write. Let me type this so that we can follow it in real time. So we write prints, then open our brackets. Okay, the content will open already and closed. So now I want to say we've defined 2 variables, jollof rice and location. Let me comment this out. I need to finish the process of doing this. And now this is the variables. We are going to be able to say, okay, for our birthday party, for example, okay, birthday education is ready. But let's change it to birthday instead, so we can see something different. So let's say, okay, for our birthday, we're going to sound jollof rice. So now the thing you do is, remember, like I said, strings, double quotes. They said for my then occasion, okay, you give a space, then outside of the quotation marks, you put plus, and then you type occasion, occasion here. Let's add a bit of space so that it's easily readable. And it's okay. Wait, I want that too early. So for my occasion meaning just in this case, we will serve, we put the 7. Now we give a bit of space again. Then outside of the quotation mark, we add our plus icon and then write ish. Then let's run this code. Okay, so we didn't give the space somewhere. So you can see that it is actually important to actually leave spaces. So we go back to this and put a bit of space and run the code again. Now you see that it comes out fully well formatted. For my first thing, we will serve jollof rice. And that's how you do it. Very simple, very straightforward. Nobody's having any headache and everybody's. All right. So the next method you can use is the percentage operator. And I said that this is a classic method that allows you to format strings with the percentage operator. So this is also pretty similar to what we did, although it's a bit technical. We'll just follow me, you understand. So we define our variable as artist, boy, and album twice as tall. It's as an album, or if it is low, low. Anyway, so we say here that okay, the latest album by. So instead of using this plus icons that we used in the first version or in the first type, you can just use percentage and s. So down here you see this notebook is going to be available to you down, so you can always go through it on your own time and just review what you've learned in case maybe you couldn't follow while we were speaking. So I mentioned here that okay, so we use the percentage and s to represent strings, but we're dealing with integers, we have to use percentage and then p instead. So we'll just use percentage and s. Let me type this a little time so that we can also see what I'm talking about. So strings. Then we have our quotes again. The latest album. Now, initially I will went out and then we did plus instead, and then typed artists. That would be what of that. But no, we don't want to do that. We don't have to be doing plus and plus. So we just say instead we use percentage, then s, and then and say is title another percentage and s. So anywhere this percentage and s appears, it means that there is a variable you've already defined somewhere that is supposed to fill in the gap. Yes, so then we come, then we move over to, then we now exit it and then do percentage, another percentage again. Brackets. Now you can now type the name of the variable you created. So it is important to type it in the order in which you want it to appear. If you go and type album and then comma artist, let me comment this out so that we can see the results. Now you end up saying the latest album by twice as tall is titled Bonabo, and that's what the other way you want to call. So please, order is very important. So let's then don't put it again. So now it comes out very well. The latest album by one is titled Twice as Tall. Everybody's okay. Now the next method is the format method, and it is very similar to what we did above, except that it uses public labels instead. So instead of using percentage here we're using the curly brackets, and then at the end you would have dot formats, and then you enter the variables in the same order. Please always remember that order is important so that we don't confuse ourselves in the process. Then the last method is the F strings, which is formatted string with literals. And one thing you need to note is that from the second method, the operator method, to the last method, that is the F strings, they are pretty similar, just a few changes here and there. So Or you come and see that we have an F string. So let me type this as well so that we can see what it looks like or what the thought process looks like. So you type things, which is the first thing you need to type, and then you have your brackets. Then the next thing, since remember I said it's F string, that means there should be an F. You don't call it an F string and then there's no F there. That's not how it works. So you have to put F, then your double quotes, then call the right thing. Then you can type it brackets. The team bracket currently ranks goes to our bracket and curly bracket in the workbook or another curly bracket. Enter the variable in the spots, and then let's comment this out. And then let's run our code. Now the super eagles are currently ranked number 3 in please, because they have not attack us. It's simply an example. Please, let's stick to what we're trying to do. So you find that there are several ways to the market, there are several ways to kill a rat in this case. But the method you use depends on what you feel most comfortable with. For me, I usually use sometimes I use the string concatenation, sometimes I end up using the operator method. It depends on what's my code looks like at that point in time, or what I quickly want to use. Then I want to is faster, then I want that is easier for you to use at that particular point in time. So it is very important. Okay, I guess you can't see me for now. So I'll just keep sharing my screen. So can anyone hear me?
Yes.
The network here is bad.
Yes.
I can
I guess
explain.
we know.
Except that the network is a little bit.
The network is MTN network is very bad here in most cases, honestly.
All right, let's quickly consider. You guys can see my screenshot, right? All right, I'm good to go.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So, yeah, so I said that understanding and leveraging this print formatting method will enable you to present your information in a more organized and engaging manner. You know, I said about just the title was outputting 10, and then we are like, okay, what does 10 mean? Does it mean the quantity of product, or does it mean the quantity of, or maybe the quality of the product, like maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, and then the person said it's 5. So it's important that if you want to complete your code, you can always make use of these print formatting methods that are available to us or in Python. Yeah, so that is it for this particular notebook. So let me quickly take 1 or 2 questions. So drop your questions in the chat box. Okay, I think there's some questions. And then I'll quickly address it and move on to the next notebook. Let me see. So someone said, can we use another ID instead of Anaconda? Maybe IntelliJ or Visual Studio Code. Yes, you can actually use Visual Studio Code. Can I run collab on my phone? No, you can't. You can't run. Okay, you can actually. You can actually run collab on your phone, but it's better if you have a system. Like I said, as long as you have access to a Google account, then you can access Google Collab. So you can actually run Google Collab on your phone, but it is better if you have a laptop. It's more effective for you to meet your mind. Deborah, please kindly mute your mic. Thank you. All right. Deborah, please mute your mic. All right. Thank you. Let me see. Okay, someone asked about the link to yesterday's slide. Like I said, it's on the Discord channel. Is it Anaconda for Python 3.1.3.10? Yeah. What else? Yes, you will get the course materials to refer to it later. Yeah. Okay, so Judith, like I mentioned, this course we're primarily treating Python, using Python programming language. So I'm sure you, let me post that link again. So Jupyter Notebook. We'll be using Jupyter Notebook. So this link or this article contains several ways in which you can bring Jupyter Notebook onto your laptop. So for those that your hands are raised, please kindly type your questions in the chat box. Don't have sufficient time to keep taking questions when you raise your hands up. So please just write it in the chat box instead. All right. So Judy, like I said, you can download Anaconda. All right. I like it back on. Oh, yeah. I'm happy to be here once again. Anyways, yeah, so you can download Anaconda, you can also install Jupyter directly into your system using this second method, using PIP. So like I said, if you have any issues during the whole installation process, just let me know on Discord and then I will attend to it. Okay, someone mentioned that he's finding it difficult, he or she's finding it difficult. So I will do that, don't worry, before I move on to the next notebook. You've not gotten the login details for diary.io. All right, please note that on the Discord channel so that the customer experience team can look into that. Okay, so someone said she doesn't have the background in Python programming. That's why I said that we're actually in this because the essence of me starting from variables for you to be able to understand the thinking behind or the thought process behind what Python is actually made up of. So variables is like a starting point, like a level ground. So I can explain variables as containers. So anytime you want to build variables, think about it as containers that you can actually work with. So you're in the right place, you have nothing to fear. Yes, the materials made available to you. Then how can I download Python from my laptop? Just go to the link I sent to you earlier. Okay, so I'll be sharing the link to the Discord channel at the end of the call. Just remind me. Ola Jimolu. Sorry, I know that you did. My apologies. You can if you have issues with Anaconda and every other of the ones in the app, you can use all right. Now for the questions on the chat box. So can we proceed? Just give me a thumbs up so that we are good to go. All right, let's go. Goodness, Chidima, Lukman, Amino is good to go. Who else? Is that all right? You chat, okay. Thank you. Benedict is good to go. I didn't care. The reference video for this class is already on the Discord channel. Please check the messages on the Discord channel. So you don't keep asking questions to ask the web. You also ask on the Discord channel that we have made available here. So let me change, just give me a minute. Let me open up the next notebook. Alright, so I'll be sharing my screen in a bit. No, sorry, pull up my video. All right, let me know when my screen is on. All right. So I've changed it to a light theme, so I think it's easier for all of us to see it. Noah, if you have a question, please just drop it in the chat box so we can attend to it later on. Now, I want to pick something new, data types and structures. Remember the container example I gave, right? About how you can store different kinds of data inside. You can store numbers, or using this container as an example, you can store a peg, you can store water, you can store your car keys or your house keys or whatever keys you have. You can store different things inside. So those different things that you can store inside a variable, they are called data types. I need to abstract with it. So I said a container is a variable. And I said that variable contain or the house data, the house information. I said age can be a variable name which is equal to a figure, a number, which is 25, for example. Now, that 25 is a type of data that we can store in a variable, that we can store in a container. We also say, okay, favorite flavor equal to vanilla. Vanilla is a type of data that is stored inside the favorite flavor variable. You get, so that makes it data types. So for variables, we started with the variables, how to create variables, what variables mean, the rules for naming variables, and now I'm moving over to the container, the content. So we treated the container. Now I'm treating the content, what is inside here. Yes. So now treating what is inside this container. So okay, since it can contain different data types, different information, what are there is a name for them. So you can always go to this image later on, just a basic definition or a basic bit of an organogram, an organogram. So I said here that in the image above, we have Python data structures, and it's divided into primitive and non-primitive. And under primitive, we have floats, integers, string, boolean. So remember, if you were following, remember the example I gave about how you can store a decimal. A decimal number is the same thing as float. So just in your head, let's try to align the thought process of okay, decimal and floats, decimal, float, just merge it together and think about it like that. So anywhere you hear floats, think about points, think about decimal points, and then you know what you're talking about. Then integers are whole numbers, like 1, 2, 50, 100, 1000. Then strings. Remember what I say strings are? Strings are texts. So instead of saying text, you have a more sophisticated name, what you call string. And then booleans are true or false, yes or no. You can either be hot or cold, it cannot be in the middle. That's what booleans refer to. Then okay, then for the non-primitive type, we have list, we have tuple, we have dictionary, we have sets. All of this is sound very strange at this point in time, but it's okay, calm down, I'm here for you. But you see these other parts, user defined and everything beneath. For the scope of this course, we will not be tackling that. So our focus for this course is the primitive type, which is everything here, and then the built-in non-primitive type, which is everything on this other side. So just bear that in mind so that you don't confuse the two. All right, so the first one is the primitive data structure. So I will be taking some examples, and you find that it's similar to what we treated already in the first notebook that we looked at. And here we said, okay, a string in Python, a sequence of characters enclosed within a quote. Remember, I said that individually. Let me type this so that we can all see. I think I will enlarge my screen a bit so that it is visible to everyone. So now the letter A is a character. The letter R is a character. The letter E is another character. So now these words or these letters come together to form a string. They come together to form a text. You understand? So now this text is now enclosed in single quotation marks or double quotation marks. You get, so that is it for the string, like I wrote here, text data. So I also have job title as a string. So now you can also have a sentence. So you can say, okay, my name is Anna, okay, and that can be your string. And then when you run this code, okay, it's still running. Even if this is the first time I'm running this notebook, it actually take a while for it to actually work. It's done already. So, find out we have foreign, which is the first one that we printed out, and we have job title, which is even like change the logo against I changed it to my name is Hannah Ibuki. So this is what we have that was printed out. It's sentence. Yeah, so that is it for strings. Then another thing we can do about strings is to manipulate them. So one of the important skills, or one of the important things you'll be learning in as a data scientist is how to manipulate. I don't mean like manual, for people that did engineering in university. I don't mean that kind of manual, people that did engineering. I don't mean that kind of manual. I mean like actually like play around with data, try and maybe assess things from wherever you want to assess it from. So now let us look at this. Let us say this S is equal to, we are learning Python. Please take note of the spaces here and the space here. It was left intentional. Let me still zoom in so that it's not blurry for those using their phones. All right, I think this is good. So now we are learning Python, space, exclamation mark, another space in our quotation marks. Now, there's a lot of things we can do with it. We can say, okay, what's the value of our string? Because you and I know that we don't need to start carrying our outputs and say, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. And we also remember that the spaces here represent characters. So now the length of this particular string is 25. So it is counting each character. I said each character is what, like every characters together combined will make up a string. So now let's count this manually. Even though no, we don't want to do that, but let's count it manually. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this space, this is 4, this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. You can see that it is actually correct. It has to be correct. It's Python. And that's how you know what you're doing. So the length of this particular string here is 25, including spaces. You're not removing the spaces. It's not like when you're writing and then you do not regard the spaces in between as anything. In Python, it means something. So please bear that in mind. So you can find out let me comment this out so that we can see each of them individually. Let me quickly do that. All right, so now let's run this code. 25. We can see that the length of this particular string is 25. Now we can also do something else. Let's do something more fun. Let me go down. So now what this thing does is, now let's say we want to select the first character of this particular string. The first character here is W, right? So now we just simply type print S. That is the name of our variable. Now what is it in this case? I want to actually print out. Let me comment this out again. We say we want to print out the first character. But now you have to know that in Python is not like human beings. Human beings are different. Python is different. In Python, first actually start counting from 0. You know, if you want to count, you say 1. So people do 0, 1. So people that do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And some people that put 0. So people that put 10. In Python, it actually starts from 0. So that means that W has the 0 number on top of it. So this is W. Let's say I'm the first character. That means my index number or my assigned number is 0. Then the assigned number for E here is 1. So let me try this out. So I said print. I want to print the first character of the we are learning in Python string. So I put, next time this is my square bracket and I put 0. And let me run the code. Then it prints out W. let's say I want to retrieve the second character. That means I will have to put 1, not 2. Because when you put 2, let's put 2, and then we run this code. You find out that what I have now is s square bracket 2. We run the code again. Sorry. Hello, bro. Please, can you hear me?
Yes.
I hear you now.
Okay, my apologies for that break in transmission. Let me quickly share my screen so you can go back. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're here. Okay. So something seems seems to be an issue. Sorry. Let me quickly check this again. Right, something doesn't seem quite right. But let's proceed with this example. All right, so please confirm you can hear me. I don't want to be speaking to myself. Can you hear me?
I can hear
All
you.
right, good. Okay, so we run this code and then we get the second letter in the string. So even though from our understanding as human beings, we want to see the second letter, but to Python, that's actually like number 1 on the index. So Python starts counting from 0 to 1 to 2 to 2 to 3 and then up to 9. Yeah, so just bear that in mind in case you're trying to retrieve a number or a string from trying to retrieve a character from a string. So let's proceed. The next one is I think I'll just run this code at the same time so that we can all go through it at once. Now to manage our time properly.
I can't see your screen.
Okay, sorry. Is she the only one? Can you all see my screen?
No, I can't see your screen.
Yes, you can see us. I can see
I
us.
can't see
Okay.
your screen, no.
Judith, maybe you could move around a bit. I think it's you're probably your network since other students can see my screen. Let's move around a bit. All right, back to class. So let's run this code at once, then I'll explain together. Now, so another thing you can also do is that you can also retrieve numbers from the back towards the front. So even though Python counts from 0 to 1 when you're moving from your left to your right, Python actually starts counting from 1 when you're moving from your right to your left. So now what does this mean? So we're trying to retrieve the 4th character from the back. So now remember that this space here is a character. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay, so let me come back again. So this is 1, the space here is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and then this is 4. So initially, Python would have counted 0, 1, 2, 3 if we're coming from this side. But since we're coming from the back, the 4th character from the back, it counts the space 1, 2, 3, and then returns n as the 4th character from the back. And also another thing we can do is to append a string to a string. Just like I showed you guys during the print formatting example. So here we have our string, which is already, so here we have our string, which is already inside this container. And then we want to add another, let's say my phone, for instance. We want to add this phone to this particular string or to this particular variable. So we'll not be having per container phone. So now to do something like that, we just simply add a plus sign here. And that's what we have when it was printed. We are learning Python there. Can you see that? We are learning Python there. So now you just successfully appended your container to your phone, your per container to your phone. That's what that means. Then we have s dot lower and s dot upper, which simply converts the string to all capital, to all lower letters, as you can see here, and this to all capital letters, as you can also see here. And then we have s dot strip, which removes the unnecessary spaces that are not required if there is any. Now moving on, we have print dot s dot find learning. So what this does is that, let's say you have a block of text and then you don't have the energy to start looking for where a particular word begins. Okay, let's say we have Obi is a boy, Ada is a girl, they all go to school in the morning and they meet at the gate by 7 p.m. and they went to math class together. Now in that block of text, you don't want to start looking for where the word math started from. So you just simply use the variable name, which is s dot find. Then you now put the particular word you're looking for. Let's say in our case, we're looking for maths. You put maths here instead of learning, and then you run the code. So now it returns the index at which the word learning starts from. And if you go back to this, you can always confirm. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. As where the word learning starts from. All right. Another thing you can also do is you can also replace a word from your string with something else. So now we want to replace learning with studying. So you just simply do s dot replace, open brackets, the word you want to replace first of all, and then the string or the word you want to replace it with. You get. Let me also say that this notebook will be made available to you, so you can always go through it on your own time and then run the code block by block so that you can review what we've learned today and then so you can stick to your mind. So that is that. So we've been able to do that. So you can, let me run this code again so that we can see the change. And then we have this. Now you can also split. Remember that this is a string, right? And then it consists of different words, and each word is made up of characters, like I mentioned earlier. So we can say that, okay, we don't like that these words are together, we'll just put us under. You get. So now in putting us under, that means we want to separate them from each other. So let us do that. So in order to do that, we'll come here and then say s, the variable name dot split. You get. And then the split, now what you are doing is that you are saying that, okay, you want it to this what do you call this? This quotation marks is used to represent that it is actually strings. You get. So s dot split, open bracket, quotation marks, and then let's run the code. Now you see that we is a different string, R is a different string, studying a different string, and the rest as well. And then when you come here and then you type, let me run this. Okay, this is a different code. So when you run this, now it tells me the kind of data it is. So down below, I'm talking about the data type called list. But for now, just bear this in mind that you've seen list somewhere. So now after we've splitted this particular, let me go back to that. After we've splitted our this string, sorry, please mute your mic. After we've splitted, you can't see my screen.
Yes.
So is it the only person or is it a general issue? If you can see my screen, give me a
I
thumbs
can
up.
see your screen.
Okay, so please do something to your network so that you can see my screen. So after that part, when you come to this place, you can see that now you've put our son down, but now it's time to actually call them and advise them, give them counsel, and then bring them back together so they'll be one body. So you have to do that. You just simply put our, you can put your double quotation marks, or you can put your single quotation marks, and then you put dot join. They say what God has joined together, and then no man put asunder. But we say no, we want to put asunder in that string, and then we scattered it. Now I said, okay, we made a mistake. Let us join them back together. And then we came here and said, okay, we want to join them together, and we'll do the single quotation marks or double quotation marks dot join dot the, and then in brackets you put the variable that contains our splitted words. You put it inside this join, and then when you click on it, when you run the code, now they're back together in one piece, just like they were before. Yeah. Then for this, I would leave this for you guys to play around, and then if you have any issues, drop it in the chat, and then we'll be able to take it off from there. Now to the next data type, integers, whole numbers. So I said an integer represents whole numbers, both positive, both negative, without the decimal point. So integers, you are thinking whole numbers, and whole numbers, you are thinking, okay, you could either be positive or it could be negative, right? And then when you hear floats, what comes to your mind is decimal point, decimal point, decimal point. This is floating, decimal points. Just find a way to connect it together like that. You can easily remember it that way. Then I give an example. You have age equal to 29, years of experience can be equal to 5, and then when you run this, all right. So if you let me zoom in a bit. All right. So if you from here you can see I said age equal to 29, right? Years of experience equals to 5. Then in the print statement I said, let us try something new. The years of experience minus the age. And for what you can see, the years of experience is 5. That means 5 minus 29 is a negative number now. So it will give you minus 24 here. So that's why we have 29 when we printed age. And then when we printed this particular part, it gave us minus 24. So that is, yeah, mathematical operation. So the third one, floats. Like I said, floats, decimal numbers, floats. We can save weight as 75.4, and then when we print it out, it gives us the same thing. So float is a type of data, a data type in Python. Then like I mentioned earlier, booleans are either true or false value. So for people that go to the gym, you can ask the question like, okay, is he a gym goer, or does he go to the gym, or does she go to the gym? The natural answer to that question will be either yes or no. You get, but in Python that is represented as true or false. So that's why you have this variable and it's equal to true. The person happens to go to the gym. Now, so that is it for the normal data types, the booleans, the floats, the strings, and the integers. Now we are coming over to something a bit more composite, a bit more complex, but I'll do my best to explain it in a very easy to understand manner. So now let me use this box. Let me zoom out a bit so that we can all see our box. The box happens to contain a lot of fruits inside. So if you notice, initially I used a couple of what I would call attributes and methods. I know it doesn't make sense, but stick with me, you'll get it. So let me just quickly go back. There's a place where I used type. Okay. Yeah, this is it. So now, let me zoom in on this part. So now, in this code, you would see print type, and then in brackets, you are seeing S splitted. Now, type, when you see type in Python, you know that we're trying to say, okay, this particular container, this container, what kind of data type is inside? You get, so that was what we're trying to achieve here. Now, we're not getting to the part where you understand what that type actually means. So in Python, there are two things that I will call, or two characteristics of Python I would refer to as attributes and methods. So attributes are like a label on this box. And then I said here that it describes what is inside. For example, I said, okay, the box might have a label such as color, like size or material. Now, I'll use my example again. This container, it tries to, attributes and methods helps you interact with your container, with your variable. So now this container that we have here, an attribute, for example, is everything pertaining to the characteristics of this container, the characteristics of this variable. So this container, for example, now is white in color. It has a circular bottom area and then a wider top area. So now we can say that, okay, the characteristics or the attributes of this particular container is that it is white. It has so many circular shapes around it, so many circular rings that you can see around it. You get, so now you see that the color is an attribute, the size is an attribute, the material it is made of is an attribute. So when you see things like length, when you see things like type, we're trying to understand what kind of material, what kind of container, or what kind of variable it actually is. You get to that part where you saw type open brackets s underscore splitted means that we're trying to say, okay, what is inside this container? What is actually inside? And then we'll find out that it's actually a list. More on what a list is down below. Then now we move over to method. So method means what tools can I use on the box? Now, let's assume this box was closed and then it was sealed. In order to open the box up, you can use a scissors, you can use a knife, and then you cut through that sellotape part, and then you're able to open the box, right? That is an example of a tool. The knife or the scissors or the even spoon that you use to open it up is a tool. And that tool in Python is what we call methods. So we have attributes, characteristics, methods, we have tools. As methods are tools, attributes are characteristics. And I said here that method allows you to do things to the contents. So for that box, you are able to open the box, you are able to sort out the contents by color. You find that we have some green items, we have some red items, and even some orange colored items. So with methods, you're able to sort the content of the box and say, okay, no, we want this color to stay one side, we want this to stay one side. We can also count the content and know, okay, how many fruits are actually inside this box, right? So let me recap again. Attributes, characteristics, methods, tools. So anytime you want to do something and they are trying to picture what it actually means, think about the box example. You have a box. Okay, attributes. What are the characteristics of the box? It is brown in color. It is made up of carton type material. Okay, that is for attribute, that's for characteristics. Okay, method. What does method mean? Method means tools. How do you open up the box? Are you counting the item inside the box? That's simply what it means. Then I also wrote down here that one of the easiest ways to differentiate between an attribute and a method in how they are being used in a code is below. So for attributes, you usually call the name of the attributes. In this case, we are trying to call the type attribute, the type characteristic on the fruits container or on the fruits variable, right? So you have type, open brackets, fruits, right? Then for the next part, which is the method, you would often see it as variable name dot the method type, which is what we call a function. More on function later on in the course. So we have variable name dot the function open brackets, and then you will now put whatever you want to put inside. So an example of a method is, let's say for our box, we said, okay, oh, it is actually missing, maybe we need to put one more apple inside the box. But how can we do that? Okay. Looks like I stopped sharing my screen. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry about that. So sorry. Is it visible now?
Yes,
Oh my
it is.
goodness, I apologize. So where did I stop? Where did you guys stop seeing my screen? Okay, I think I'll just go back to the box example. So for the box example, so I said that for the method, you would have something like the variable name. Variable name is fruits, for example. And then the method you are trying to do, the method you're trying to actually, the tool you're actually trying to, the action or the tool you're actually trying to perform on that variable name is you want to add an apple to the box. That is, let's say, for example, this is my container, like this box is, and then you want to add an apple to the container, an apple to the box. So you come here and say, fruits, which is the name of my container, dot append, which is the name of what I'm trying to do, and then you now put what you want to put, the name of the contents, in this case, which is apple, inside your container. So I wrote here that this adds a new content apple to the fruits list or to the fruits box, as we mentioned. So now we've been hearing list, we've been hearing this, we've been hearing that. Now, what is actually a list? That is a very serious question. Now, you know how you want to go to the market and you just pick up a piece of paper or maybe your phone, and then you start writing down, okay, you want to buy two cans of tomatoes, 200 naira pepper. Maybe you want to make rice and stew. You need to buy half pint of rice. You need to buy maybe 2 sachets of tomato will be okay. Now, this is you creating a list of items you need to buy, right? Am I correct? Now, that list, don't think about that list. I think about the concept of that list when I'm trying to explain this. So now I said that a list is an ordered collection of items that can be modified, just like with your normal market list. You know that, okay, I've gone to the market though, and it looks like there is no fresh tomato to buy, so I have to scrap it. I have to remove that and then just maybe buy more of the sachet tomatoes, right? That is you modifying the list you've created already. So I said here that lists are useful when you need to store different data types. And I also noted that lists are enclosed in square brackets. So while your normal market list, you might have written it out in your notebook or in your phone notepad. In Python doesn't have access to a notebook, or it has access to a paper or maybe phone notepad. So what it does is that it says, okay, I know you have a market list. It's fine. Let me put it inside a square bracket. You get? So let me recap again: strings, double quotes, or single quotes. Then for lists, square brackets. So when you come here, I gave a name of a variable container. I said jobs equal to square bracket. That's an empty list. So your sheet of paper or your notepad is empty. There's nothing inside. So when I run this code, you see that when from what you can see here now, you can see that I'm using the attributes feature. So I'm saying, okay, these jobs, what kind of type is it? What kind of data type is it? So it returns that it is a list kind of data type. And then moving below, you would see another set of examples. So I'm saying, let me run this. Okay, I think I will need to change the names here. Let me change it to sea animals. So now we have a list of sea animals. And the first one is a shark, a dolphin, an octopus, and then titles fish. Then we have here, we said, okay, what kind of type is sea animals? Let me also change this here. What kind of data type is this thing here? And then what is the length of this data type? Now let us run this code. This is what we have. So we now understand that, okay, our sea animals list of variables actually now in this too, because we enclosed it in a square bracket, right? Then I also said, okay, what is the length of this new data structure? Initially, if we had counted initially up here, when we did, let me go back to this. When we did this, when we counted the number of strings, it counted each character, right? Each character, because it was a string. But now in this list, let me go back down. But now in this list, it doesn't longer behave like, it behaves like a string, but a string with a Promax level. So now here you have, what a list now does is that it considers everything enclosed in a quotation mark as a single character. Stick with me. That means this shark here is the first item on the list. The dolphin is the second item on the list. The octopus is the third item on the list. The titus is the fourth item on the list. Now let me go back to our pen and paper market list. So now you've written fresh tomato, fresh pepper, sachet tomato, and rice. Fresh tomato is the first item on the list. That's number one. So now if you're not counting how many things you have to buy on your list, that makes it 4, right? That makes it fresh tomato, pepper, rice, and tomato paste. That is 4 items on your list, right? So it's the same logic that applies here. So The number of characters, the number of items you have on our list is simply 4, because we have only 4 variables or 4 items enclosed in single or double quotation marks. Let's remember that. Then, all right. So I also said, remember that for data structures, for this, let me go back to this. For this particular kind of data structures or this particular kind of data types, I already treated this one, and then I'm saying that for this one, you find out that they can contain a mixture of this particular type. So this can contain float, it can contain integer, it can contain strings, it can also contain booleans as well, right? So just have that in mind in case you see a mixture of different things inside your market list. I remember the market list I told you about. I said fresh tomato, okay, 200 naira fresh tomato, fresh pepper 200 naira, sachet tomato 2, rice 1 pint. So you can see that your list contains a mixture of strings and numbers, right? So the same logic applies here. And then we say we want to append a couple of things to our list already. So we append true, the word true, and the boolean true. We append NASA, which is a string. We also append a float, and then we can even append a list itself. Because you know how somebody writing a market list and you said, okay, under this particular one, you now can start doing a sub list under the list. So you have your list, but you say, no, I have to have a sub list under my already created list. So that's what we're going to see here now. Let me run this code. So now let me zoom in on the outputs. So in the output, you see that we have the initial items that were on our list, and then we now have true, which is a boolean, and then we have NASA, which is another string, and we have a float, and then we have a list, which is inside our list again. So you can see that this particular list can contain a mixture of strings, integers, floats, booleans, and even itself a list. So let's proceed. So now I said, I'm trying to give an example here. I'm trying to explain indexing. So let's look at this grid of numbers. So now we have rows, and then we have columns. So we have all of these numbers here from 1 to 9. So let's say we want to point at number 9. So you would say, okay, how do I access number 9? So number 9 is on the 3rd row. This is 1, 2, 3. So number 9 is on the 3rd row, the last column. So that is the last column is 1, 2, 3. So it is on the 3rd row on the last column, right? So in programming terms, like I said, remember that I said Python starts counting from 0. So that means this will be the 0th row, the 1st row, the 2nd row. This will be the 0th column, the first column, and then the 2nd column. So this means that we are going to position number 2, 2, right? So I said here that so to access the number 9 in a program, we have to use something like bracket 2, which represents the 2nd row, that is 0, 1, 2, and then the 3rd column, which is 0, 1, 2, right? So this is what we call indexing. And I had to bring this in at this particular point because I have to explain that indexing is a very fundamental and important part of programming, because you'll be able to use the concept of indexing to access specific elements within a data structure. So let me go over to an example. So remember our list, right? So you know how you're writing a list and you say, okay, this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So that's the same thing here. So if you come back to our list here, this is number 0, number 1, number 2, and then number 3. So in order to access the 5th value or the 6th value, actually, let us count. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and this is 6. So that means if we're accessing the 5th value, this will give us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is, it will return the word NASA. So when we run this, it returns NASA. And then when we run the 7th row, and the second, when we want the 7th row and the second character or the second string inside of that list. So let me go back to this so that you can see what we're talking about. So remember our list, our market list. We have salad, tomato, pepper, onions, and everything. And then under this one, we still have another list again, right? So now this is row 0, row 2, sorry, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, 6. Now this kite, this other list here now is another row on its own. So under the specific row, we're trying to access the 0, 1, 2. We're trying to access the last character, which is the 3rd character in this list. And then when we move down, see that when you run the code, let me go back. When you run the code, where is it? Yeah. So when we run the code, you find out that we get the word kites, as you can see here. So this is the 8th element of the sea animals list that's under another list. So I can see our time is fast spent. So I think we'll be stopping here, and then maybe during the blocker session within the week, I would continue from here. I'll continue from here in the blocker session. I'll just quickly go through, since we do not have so much that is left. I'll quickly just go through it in our next the next time we meet. So I will take your questions now. I'll take your questions now. So do you have a question? Just drop it in the chat box. Any questions? Okay, Edosia is asking how how does append work. So like I said, you already have a container, and then it's already filled with different kinds of food. Or this container I'm holding my hand is already contains pegs. Now you said, okay, I want it to contain pegs and let's say my phone, for instance. So now you want to append the phone to my container. So you want to put my phone inside the container. You get, so this is you appending my phone to a variable, appending it to a container, right? So that's basically how the append works. So I hope I've answered your question. Any other question? The link to the previous class is on the Discord channel, please. Any other questions?
Please, I have a question. Good evening.
Okay, Chinedu, good evening.
Yeah, I just joined in now. Please, I'm confused about this whole training. I don't know how to get the link to the classes, and then in my portal, I can't have access to anything. The mini projects, when I click on it, it's not opening. The course after it's just one video, and then I see another mini project. So I'm somehow lost and confused. If not that someone just help post this link now to the group chat, I wouldn't have joined in, because I just came in. I've been looking for the link everywhere. I don't know. I'm so confused.
Okay, first of all, did you attend yesterday's class?
I didn't attend yesterday's class.
Okay, did you receive any email from the diary.io team?
Yeah, I received an email that was on 4th of this month, the login details. And then I didn't know there was class yesterday. I missed it. But then since yesterday evening when I came back, I've gone through my portal to see if I can catch up with what was happening, but there's really no headway.
Are you on the Discord channel?
Discord channel, no. I'm just in the Telegram group.
All right, so check the email they sent to you. There should be a link to the Discord channel there. So there is a recording for this class, and it's on the Discord channel. So when you join the Discord channel, just look for the link. It would show you what we did yesterday, so that you can make sure you start from that, and then you can now watch today's recording, so you can get to where we are. And I was explaining that whatever issues you might be facing with the dashboard, that issue is going to be resolved. So this stuff you mentioned about mini project, I know you are confused because you're like, okay, I've barely started, and we are having, I have to turn off my camera, sorry. And I know that you're confused because you're like, we've barely started and already having mini project. Like, who even does that? I understand your problem, but if you watch the recording, if you watch the recording of yesterday, you would see where I explained what those mini projects and what those courses actually means. So please, I would refer you to go back to the recording of yesterday. And Lookman, thank you so much. You've posted the link to the Discord channel. So Chinedu, please quickly click on the link so that you can join the Discord channel. Make sure you have the Discord app on your phone so that you can easily access it. Then sorry.
Please, where did he post the link? Where did he post the link? Yeah.
Check the chats of this particular call.
Okay, let me go.
All right. Let me see. Edozie has a question on the last code. Okay, Edozie, what's the issue with the code? Maybe you can just send it in the chat box. Who else? Moses, are we submitting our mini project using the Jupyter notebook? Yes, you would have to. Yeah, all of your projects, all of your everything you'll be doing in data science will be done in your notebook, right? So let's say, for example, now you are done building your model, which is the end goal of one of the end goals of this course. It means that you would actually have to submit your notebook. You actually have to submit your notebook to. Sorry, I'm coming on my camera. It means that you would actually have to submit your notebook to me for me to review, or for the AI system to actually review. You get, so yeah, everything's going to be in your notebook. Do you have attendance? I mentioned that the attendance stuff, you don't have to worry about it. We are actually noting down people that attend and people who do not attend, so that is done automatically. Then okay, why did 7 return since? Okay, let me quickly go back to that code so that I can trash this. I can deal with this once and for all. So let me see. Where is it? Okay, I think I'm here. So I said, let me come back here. So I said, remember our market list. Our market list has several items on it, each in a different line of paper, right? And that line of paper represents number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. You get, and then let's say at number 5, you said you wanted to get provision. So provision is the name of the market, the name of what you need to buy on the number 5 row. So we already have sachet tomato, pepper, onions, tatashe, everything you want to buy, and then you have provision. So under provision, you now have another sub list that says, okay, what kind of provision do I want to buy? I want to buy golden mon, I want to buy cornflakes, I want to buy milk and Milo. So you are seeing, you get it. So you already have a list, and then you have a sub list under the list you have. So that was the same thinking here. So let me go back to the example. So I said that imagine that all of these things now are this. So you have shark on a one row, dolphin another row, octopus, Titus, true, NASA 20.098, and then under this other row you now have a list, another sub list that Hannah has 34, 36, 56, and then kites, right? So now if you are counting it, shark is number 0 based on how Python counts. So shark is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I wanted to retrieve, let me go back here. So I wanted to retrieve the 7th, that which is the 6th value, or the 7th value, the 7th value on the list. But then we want to also retrieve the last item of our sub list. So when we get to the 7th row of that shopping list, we now want to retrieve the particular sub list row that contains peak milk. You get, so that was basically the thinking behind it. So anytime you encounter a list, just try to relate it back to your shopping list, and then it will become more easier for you to understand. I think I've explained that. Let me see. Do we have to post our mini project on our social media? That will also be communicated to you. The time for mini projects is going to come, don't worry. And please, if you are just joining today's class and you didn't attend yesterday's class, please, I would advise you to go back to yesterday's recording. I was able to address some of these things yesterday, so please go back to them so that we don't have to spend so much time on matter that have been discussed already. Do I need to download any app before I can join the Discord group? Yes, you need to download the Discord app. Deborah, I don't know if you were in yesterday's class, but if you were in yesterday's class, I told you that calm down. We're taking it one step at a time. Nobody's submitting any project for now. We are still trying to help you understand what Python is, what exactly do you want to submit. You've not finished learning. You want to start submitting project. Calm down. Your blood is too hot. Calm down. Now is not the time for GitHub and all of that, but the time is going to come. So Chinedu, I don't know what exactly you said you've clicked on that you said you're not making a headway on. First project, good news. Please watch yesterday's recording. You know that the project hasn't started yet. Okay, yeah, so Israel, so I said on Wednesdays we have blocker sessions, just a 1 hour blocker session where I come and explain or try to resolve whatever issues you might be having, try to take some questions, because sometimes the hours you have for live classes is actually not sufficient enough. Like right now, our 2 hours has actually expired, but I'm trying to answer all of your questions. So it exceeds the allocated time for live classes, but we are still having blocker sessions within the week so that we can address whatever issues you have. Yes, there is an attendance. Don't worry about mini projects for now. Can it be used online? You can try that out and let me know if you have any issues. But mostly, like I said, if you're looking for something you can use without internet, then you would have to use. Sorry, now, if you're looking for something you can easily use on your phone without having to download on your PC, you can always use Google Colab. You get, so if you're on your phone, you can actually access these notebooks from your phone, but you cannot access Jupyter notebook on your phone, as far as I'm aware. Bruno, please refer back to last class, which was yesterday's class. Attendance link, endurance, you don't have to worry about it. Time for it on the blocker sessions. I'll let you know on the Discord channel, but it's going to be in the evening. It's actually compulsory. Okay, I think I addressed most of the questions. Those raising up your hands, you could have dropped it in the chat. Okay, Mary Jane. Let's take your question. Short, straightforward, and to the point.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everybody, and thank you for today's class. So my question, actually, I was asking, the Jupyter notebook now, like, can it be used? I don't mean using it on a phone, because I noticed that my PC is running slowly. So I was thinking if I can use the Jupyter notebook like online, I don't know, without downloading it, because it may crash my system, something like that, not necessarily using it over on the phone. So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay. In that case, the best advice is for you to use Google Colab. You have an access to a Google account. It is on the web, so you don't have to worry about your system being slow. It's not using your system's GPU or your system's resources. It's basically using the resources that are available on the cloud. So since you have a Google account, just go to open a new tab and type Google Colab, and then it should bring out a page for you to be able to access Google Colab. Good news. What's your question? Opeyemi, Noah, please, your question.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Please, I want to find out. I saw a 5 hours class on the dashboard yesterday. Actually, personally, yesterday, I
5
was
hours.
looking for the link to this. Yes, a 5 hours class. So I don't know, maybe I mean, that course is meant for us as well. So that's my question.
What was the title of the course?
It's Devil, I call it devil, I've forgotten. Devil,
Okay, that DevOps.
maybe devil development. Yes, devil.
Okay, that's actually not for your course track. Your course track is data science. So everything data science is for you. Anything that is outside of data science, DevOps, software engineering, it's not for you. So you have nothing to worry about. Is that the only question?
Yes,
All right,
thank you.
thank you. You're welcome. Chinedu, quickly your question. Short, straightforward, make it positive. Let's go.
Okay, good evening. I just got to see the link to this class not long ago, so I don't know if the class was recorded, so I can go back and watch all over. And then, does the class hold? Because I saw on the timetable that it's Friday and Saturday. Is it constant for every week?
Yes, it is. So for all of the classes, it's going to be recorded. Like yesterday's class was actually recorded. So the link to that is on the Discord channel. So if you're not on the Discord channel, check the chats. Lukman already dropped it. So Lukman, please, you can drop it again so that she can join the Discord channel. And yes, every week we have classes on Fridays and Saturdays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And on Wednesdays, we have blocker sessions. The time will be communicated to you. I think that's about it. Good news. What's your question? Okay, good news is not available now. So I would like us to do something.
Yeah, hello.
Good news. Go ahead with your question.
I discovered that yesterday, I think before yesterday, I took some courses, the introductory aspect of it on Excel and others. I think it was yesterday, I discovered that those courses are no longer on my dashboard. Is it that the moment you complete the course, those courses will no longer be available for you to revisit or what?
Okay, I understand what you're saying. So the courses that you said you took were actually not for your course track. So that's why it's not available anymore. So I think it's a bug in the system where, your courses that are not meant for you are being either switched or you end up having access to them. So I know that right now the team is actually working to resolve whatsoever issue you might be facing. So you don't have anything to worry about it. And when you complete a course, it doesn't just disappear. I mean, it's always there for you to be able to go back to in case you want to revisit an issue or whatsoever it is. So I just want you to have that in mind. Any other questions? I quickly want to show us something. Muhammad, please go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Hannah. Good evening, everyone. So I just not really a question, just adding to what you said about the dashboard courses. So a lot of people are having what's it called? There's this presumption that the courses that they see on their dashboard probably like their other courses separate from their main course. I want them to understand is that they pick their learning path. It's the learning path that they go to that they see what they need to learn. Some other courses are there, but it's not for them. So they need to know what they're registered for with the program. And once they do, they start taking those courses because there are also different other courses for different people. Some are paid, some are not. So they need to learn how to tell the difference physically. That's what I'm saying.
All right. So this is a note to everyone on the call. If you didn't sign up for the data science track, please find your way. Go over to wheresoever you actually picked so that you don't stress yourself. So if only you picked DevOps or you picked data analysis, please ensure that that is the course track that you're actually following through. So if you didn't sign up for a data science track, you're not actually supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be in this meeting of today. You're supposed to be in our class. So go and find your class. I think that question is settled then. Mohammed, thank you very much. Bumi, go on.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good
Please,
evening.
I noticed that when I click on my course, it redirects me to third-party websites. I don't know if I'm still on the track.
Yes, you're on track. So that is what we call recommended learning. So most of the times the link you click on will take you to a third-party website, in this case YouTube. And on that YouTube, you would find that we'll actually link to video for you. So let me quickly share my screen so that I can show us something. Because yesterday people asked for what was the course outline like for the data science track for module 1. So let me share my screen so I can show us something. I'll also be sharing the the Google Sheet with us so that we can have access. Okay. So can we all see my screen? Let me know.
Yes.
All right. So now we've started. Yesterday was Friday. Today is Saturday. So yesterday we had a live session where we were able to do an overview of the course track and then introduce what data and data science meant. So we are done with this. The next thing in line is recommended learning, which is tagged what really is data science told by a data scientist. And if you go to your learning pathway, please refer back to yesterday's video recording so you can understand what I'm trying to say. So leave this start project you are seeing here. Don't think about it too much. Your mini projects only come at the end of the module. So that means that is where you have something to submit. Then when you are seeing project, right? Don't panic and say, okay, where are we submitting a project? Calm down. I'm not submitting any project for now. So when I start this project, I mean, just give it a minute to load. Okay, looks like there's an error. Let me try again. Okay, this might take a while, so I will revisit this later on. But please go and watch the video of yesterday so you can see what I'm talking about. So the third-party website you mentioned is actually, like I said, the recommended learning, and this is what it is supposed to lead you to. And then today being Saturday, well, we're treating this live session on Python programming basics, and tomorrow being Sunday. So I've created this worksheet in such a way that every day you know what you're supposed to learn. So now, week 2 being next week, we have Monday. So on Monday, you're supposed to go through the Python operators course material, this material, the recommended learning, and this hands-on study as well, this particular notebooks here. And everything is available. Okay, this has opened up. So during yesterday's class, those that were in yesterday's class can attest that this was what we treated. We talked about all of these subheadings here. And then we were able to finish this, and then we could move to the next step in the process. So it is not meant to confuse you. You just have to, I know it's going to take a while. So when you start the course, when it opens up, you would see that it's actually recommended learning you're supposed to go through. And when you click me to watch the video, it now takes you to YouTube, right? And then when you're done with the YouTube, you come back here, mark as complete. Let's give it a bit to load. And then you can now proceed to the next step. And the next step is what we did in class today, Python programming basics. So it's taking a while. So you would see again, this is what we treated in class today, introduction to Python, Anaconda and Google Colab, Python variables, and all of that. And then we finished this course material and then started this other course material on data types and structures. Let's start project again. I just want you to see that it is a flow. Like you finish one, you go to the next one, finish one, you go to the next one. See data types and structures, and then you're able to go through it from top to bottom, right? So this is it, and you click on next step again. So that is how that works. Then let me quickly share this notebook, this Google Sheet, so that every day, please, it is important you follow this thing according to the day so that you don't end up mixing things up. So it's supposed to act like a guide. So by the time we'll be meeting next week, we'll be looking at databases, concise functions, and all of that. And that's why we have this blocker section in the middle. So that by the time you go through the course materials, if you have any questions, I can address it during that blocker session. So please do check the chat box so I can drop the message. We'll be leaving the course soon. So yeah, this is the link to the worksheets. So the
Sorry,
Wednesday,
please let
have
me
a
sort this thing
question?
out before you go, ma. I've downloaded I've downloaded the Discord app, but the link is still not directing me to the group. I need to join that group so that I can be able to be getting updates, please. From App
Where is it
Gallery.
directing? Have you directing you
It's just
to?
telling me like I just let me click on it again, but I'm not able to join this thing. Sorry, it's not even opening.
Let me know how that goes.
Pardon?
And Lookman, please kindly be there. Lookman, if you're on the call, please kindly be share, or somebody else, please get the Discord link so that I can round up on the call. I know we are all tired and exhausted already. We've had a lot to learn. So let me quickly go back to my notebook so we can round up. Yeah, I've taken your questions already, and then between today and the next live session next week, I intend to visit your dashboard. By next week, like I mentioned, the issue will be resolved, and using this course outline I just gave you guys as a guide, please go through all of the course materials. I have done my very best to ensure that I explain it in a very simple and easy to understand manner. So even if you do not have any knowledge of Python, you should be able to follow through. That's why I added those recommended learning, so that as you're learning, if it's not making sense as you're reading it, you watch the recommended learning videos and then you understand it, and then you can practice again. So let me just give us a brief recap so that we know what to do. So first of all, go and watch yesterday's recording if you were not in yesterday's class. After you've done that, install Jupyter Notebook using any of the methods I shared in the article earlier. After you've done that, you can decide to rewatch this recording again, or you go to your dashboard and then try to follow through on the notebooks you've covered already, the Python programming basis, and then data types and structures. As an assignment, you see this particular notebook, data types and structures. I would like you guys, I stopped at lists. So I would like you guys to go through it from where I stopped to the very end, and then during the blocker session on Wednesday, I will find out how you guys were able to cope and all of that. So between today and the next live class, I expect you to go through the course materials on the Python operators, if and else statements, everything here from Monday to Friday, or from Monday to Thursday, and then on the live class we'll meet up for an introduction to databases and functions in Python programming language. So it is important, please, that you go through these materials as has been recommended according to these steps each day of the week. So that means on Wednesday, I should be coming on board to address whatever issues you have to put you in the right direction. So don't expect on Wednesday I'll come and start hosting another live class and teaching this and teaching that. I expect that you would have done your own homework, and then I'm just coming on board to resolve whatsoever issues you might have encountered. So that is it for that. Yeah. So I already mentioned what we'll be covering in the next section, or rather by next week. So finally, whether you become an excellent data scientist or not is completely and totally up to you. There's only so much work I can do. I can, like I said, resolve your questions, provide answers when needed, but still, the bulk of the work lies in your hand. The bulk of the work lies in you being able to practice and stay consistent and follow a learning plan to achieve the desired results you want. So you have to put in the work, attend the live classes and blocker sessions diligently, and ask questions until you get answers. So do not rest. Be like Chinedu, do not rest until you get an answer. You get? So please, let's have that in mind. And I've already shared the link to the course outline already. So let me share this link to the Discord channel. Let me know if that works for Chinedu, so you can resolve his issue. I think it should work. Will the course outline be shared on the Discord channel? Yeah, I will share it on the Discord channel. Any other question before we call it a night? Ask your questions now or forever hold your peace. Noah, your hand is up. Your hand is up. Do you have a question? If you don't, let us call it a night. Like I said, and I keep saying again and again and again, for all of your live classes, for all of your blocker sessions, you'll be using just one link, which is this particular link we are on right now. So You do not have to keep on asking, okay, today's class, what link are we using? We don't want to stress you. We don't also want to stress ourselves. So please, the link that you use to join today, save it somewhere. If you have to add it to your personal WhatsApp DM, add it, pin it, whatever you need to do. That is the only link we'll be using throughout our classes. So please, let's not confuse ourselves. Looks like no one doesn't have a question. I think we're good then. So please cover the notebooks. I don't want excuses. I want you guys to be in the next blocker session. You're just asking me questions. I'll be like, these guys are serious. So please make sure you do your homework. And then when I come on Wednesday, I'll just provide answers when it is needed. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining this class and staying up to this particular time. I do appreciate the effort you're putting in. I do hope that the effort you're putting in actually pays off. And today might have actually been a lot for you to take in at a go. So please make sure you go back to the recordings and watch them again. And we'll meet on Wednesday. Bumi, do you have a question? Okay, I think we're good. All right, good night, everyone. See you when I see you on Wednesday evening. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.